Hey everyone, this is Panos from Hack the Box, and in this workshop we're going to take a look at a very easy challenge, a fullpwn one from last year Business ETF. So before we already begin, I have done some steps to not have you sit through and watch people load. The first one was I spawned the machine, so we have the IP and nothing more. I also downloaded from this button right here the VPN file, and I connected to the VPN. I also ran the nmap scan, so we don't have to wait for the scan to finish. And we only found a single port running on the default HTTP port, port 80. This is a Nginx 1.18 whatever. So the first thing to do is to try and visit this web page, but what we see immediately, if you take a closer look, is immediately we get a redirect to submerge.htb, and our browser does not identify this domain. We can make a guess that this domain is on the same server that the challenge is running, so we can try to edit our host file and add it as an entry. So you need to be a super user to do this. And the first line shows us the syntax of how to do it. We just paste the IP, some white spaces, and the domain that we want to. So we save it, and if we try to visit the website again, this time it should work. For some reason this challenge said it's slow today, so let's wait for some seconds for the page to load. While we're waiting, another thing that you could do is you could try to do nmap again, but you could try to scan all the ports in case something else is running, but for this challenge I know that this is not the case. And we are forced to sit and wait here until this page loads. And we can also try to just visit the normal page. The server is taking a while to load, but it finally does. So let's see what we managed to get. We have a menu on the left, and we have something that looks like a blog of some kind on the main screen. There is also an about page, which this about page has some general info, maybe something can be interesting here. There is a contact form that maybe you could try to exploit, maybe somebody reads it, maybe you can do an XSS on it. We also find an email. And let's go once again in the homepage. So if you go through it, there are very different posts that are all about the theme of last year's ETF, which was the effects of a nuclear fallout. So the very first post in this blog, it's called the relocation, and we can read that with the nuclear devastation wiping out the old way of life as we knew it, we have refactored our site and retired our original website at SPIP, and this is a clickable link, so we can try to go there. So we see that our browser tries to find this subdomain, which once again it does not know. So we could try to do the same thing, and we can try to make the guess that this subdomain is probably hosted in the same server. So no need for a new line, you can just at the end add the new domain as well. Let's see if I write it. Yes. And we can try once again to see if it loads. This site is taking some time, so probably it's going to take a minute, but it will load. Once we wait for it to load, we can see this. Some of you may know what this is. I didn't, but you can always try to Google to find some information. This is some weird stock thing, I don't know what this is, but we can see from the ready answer that SPIP is also a free CMS, essentially. So probably what this blog post describes is how they moved to the new software and the old software is running in SPIP still. And we just have to wait for this to load. Since we are waiting, we might as well make use of the time and try and see if there are any vulnerabilities known for this website. What am I writing? And we see that there is an entry in exploit database. This is not the same CVE, I believe, or could be. So we also have some ideas on what we may do once this website decides to load. I don't know why it takes so much time. It finally did load. Okay, this looks quite old. It's quite empty. We can try to see if we can do something with the search. It doesn't seem to, but we can always try. We can run, we can try to find the SQL injection or whatever. We can try, there is a login screen. We can try to do the default admin. You never know. It doesn't seem to work. And we can try to have a look at the traffic as well. We can instruct it to reload to see if it has any interesting info. Same way though, we can try to do a verbose curl from our terminal to see if we get any interesting info from the headers or whatever. So we'll do curl -v, which is the verbose flag, and then we're going to do the http spip.submerge.com. Not com, http. There it probably is something called submerge.com. Okay, let's see what we got from this. This is the code for the website, and this is something interesting. We get the version of the SPIP software that it is running. So it is the version 4.0.0, and if we visit the first vulnerability, the first result of DuckDuckGo in that case, probably it's the same in Google as well, we see that the fixed versions is the 4.0.10, so probably 4.0.0 is still vulnerable to this specific RC. We can take a look at it. The downloadable file is a Python file, and it says that we have a remote code execution without the need for authentication, and it shows the usage. Also, we can go through the code and we can see that we can also use some arguments, and these arguments is the URL, the target essentially, the sees the command that you want to run with RC, and you can get a verbose output. We can try to do this. We will use the verbose flag in case something goes wrong. I hope it doesn't, and I hope it does run. So let's download the Python file. Since there is no need to alter it, since the URL is added as an argument, and let's try run it. So let's clear the screen, and okay, we are here. So we saw that the syntax is Python 3, the name, then we need the URL. Let's try to add the default SPIP website. And we need to add a command. So for this, we need to test that the exploit is running. So let's try just running. We need to be super user, I think, to do that. Let's try to run a simple server, HTTP server on port 80, and see if we can get a hit. So yes, let's see curl, and we need to get this from our IP address, which I do not know. This is our IP address, okay? Let's see if this will work. We get a hit, so that's great. That means we have remote code execution. So what I have already done is I search the web and I find a nice bash script. Let's kill this for now. And I saved this bash script on my documents folder. I have two different versions, so I will show you what I'm going to use, which is the first one. There is a chance that most of you have already seen this script 1,000 times. And this will give us a reverse shell on port 4444. So first of all, let's open the HTTP server here. Then let's set up a listener to get back the reverse shell on 4444. Listening, and let's run the exploit again, but this time we want it to get the bash.sh file. I hope this is the name, and we can try to download it the first time and then run the script again, and the second command to be just run the bash, right? But we can also pipe the result of the CURL on the bash program itself, and hopefully this will work and we'll get a reverse shell back. Let's pray and hit enter. Let's see if we get a hit. Not yet, not yet. It timed out, but I think because it happened before as well, this has more to do with my connection than it has to do with the command itself, because as you saw, we already ran the script and it is running. Let's give it another try. I think this is a software issue. It's time to do some troubleshooting together. Let's run the previous command again and see if we still get the same message. Yes, since we get the timeout, it means I'm quite unlucky. That means my internet connection died in the middle of running a workshop. Okay, it usually does this thing. Let's give it a second. and probably I will edit this part out later in the video. Let's try once again to see if it works. Now it's our time. Go, 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 go. Yes, yes. We have to go quickly because before I lose my internet again. So we are in a different system. We get the reverse cell. So let's see who we are. We are Matthew. We are in the var.w SPIP file, and let's see the user. This. The home directory for Matthew. The home directory, we can find the user flag, and we can try to go for the root flag. So we are in a Linux system, as we can see by the folder structure. So we can try to do the standard Linux privilege escalation tricks. So the first one would be to just see what kind of commands can our user run. And it seems that we are lucky because it doesn't need a password and we can run all commands. So I guess we could do this as well. We are root, we can, let's see, we are at the, okay. So we can try to go at cd.root, but it seems to be empty. What does that mean? It means that the content team forgot to put the flag inside. No, that's not it. If we see our cell before, the name of the machine that we have the access on, it's called win-whatever. This and the fact that there is no root flag, there are two indications that the Linux subsystem that we are running in right now, it's not the original host. It is a subsystem, and what this is, it's probably a WSL. So what is a WSL? A WSL, I think it means Windows Subsystem for Linux. So it is, you can think of it as a VM, but instead of virtualizing the whole computer, inside it's just a subsystem that runs as a Linux system inside the Windows system. The reason that people want to use something like this is they want to use native Linux tools, for example, in this web server to run. And why they would use this instead of launching a VM? It's because WSL also shares the resources with the host. There is no need for resource sharing. So, for example, if you need to launch a VM like I have right here, you have to give it like 2 of your cores and some of your RAM and stuff like that. So a common thing that common privilege escalation is you can, in WSL system, sometimes you can mount the C drive in the Linux system. So essentially, if you can do that, you can get full access on the machine. So let's see this article by Microsoft. And we can see the example of the command to run. So let's hope my internet is still there. No need to add sudo since we are root, and we are trying to mount trf, vfs. I don't know what these things are. The default Windows drive, the C drive, and we're going to mount it on /mt/c. Okay, I already did it previously. So we can try to go. So this is not the first time that I run this command. That's why we get this message. I forgot to unmount it. So we can try to go there. And here, if we type ls, you can see a very common Microsoft interface. So this is the C drive. So we can go in the users, and you can see the different users. We can see there is an administrator. And if you go in the desktop of this administrator, you will find the root flag. So that was it. Most of the challenge, I think it was pretty straightforward. You did an nmap, you added the host. It was a default, it was the first payload that you found online, but since it's a very easy challenge, but since this is a hack the box competition, we also had to add a little twist. We also had the challenge running inside the container of some kind, so that was the tricky part of the challenge. I hope you learned something new from this workshop, and I hope you have a great time tomorrow and the rest of the week on our competition. Goodbye, guys.